Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into the story of the Ghetto Brothers. Really fascinating group.
Absolutely. They carved out this unique space, didn't they? Late 1960s South Bronx.
Right. And it's this mix. They weren't just, a band or just a gang.
No, it was this compelling blend, and we're drawing on, well, the historical info we have about them.
So the mission for this deep dive is really to understand the key parts of this unique organization.
Exactly. Because they came out of a very specific place and time.
Okay, let's set that scene then. Late 60s, South Bronx. I mean, that paints a picture already.
It does. It was a tough landscape. Lots of hardship, poverty, social change.
And not many opportunities for young people, I imagine.
Precisely. And that's the context for the Ghetto Brothers forming. You had the founders, Huey Cambrellin, Ray De La Vega, and Benjamin Melendez. Yellow Benji.
Yellow Benji, right? A key figure.
Definitely. And their core motivation initially was just, well, not just, but fundamentally, to uplift the young Latino and Black men there.
To give them a sense of community, direction.
Exactly. They felt overlooked, marginalized. This was about creating something positive.
And the name itself, Ghetto Brothers. Was that purposeful?
Oh, absolutely. Huey Cambrellin came up with it. It was deliberate, like reclaiming the word ghetto.
Turning it into something about kinship, brotherhood.
Yeah, empowerment. And they didn't just stay local either. Their influence spread, across much of the Northeast.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for me. This mix of gang life and politics. We know they got involved politically.
Yeah.
The Puerto Rico independence movement, for instance.
Right. And they had connections with the Puerto Rican Socialist Party.
How did that work? Gang activity and political ideology. Seems like different worlds.
Well, that's what's so fascinating. They didn't see them as separate. Their community work on the ground, they connected that to bigger political ideas.
So the Socialist Party link wasn't just, like, casual.
No, it seems to reflect a real desire for self-determination, social justice, things that resonated deeply in their community.
Seeing their local struggles as part of something bigger.
Exactly, a bigger movement. And you can kind of hear echoes of that in their music later, perhaps.
Let's talk about inside the group. The Ghetto Sisters. The way they treated women seems different.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Different from many other gangs at the time, certainly.
How so?
Well, under Benjamin Melendez's leadership, there's apparently this culture of respect. The Ghetto Sisters weren't just, property.
They were seen as partners, integral members.
That's the understanding, yes. It's a stark contrast to how women were often objectified in other gang circles back then.
It suggests something more progressive within their own structure.
It does. Maybe it was Melendez's own values, or maybe a conscious choice to build a community differently. It makes you think, right?
It really flips the script on the typical gang narrative. And look at some former members.
Yeah.
Eddie Perez became mayor of Hartford, Connecticut. Robert Dominguez, a columnist for the NY Daily News.
That does speak volumes, doesn't it? About the potential, the foundation they might have provided.
Even if it was still, a gang environment in many ways.
Right. It shows potential for positive paths. And it's complex because those relationships formed back then also had later consequences.
You mean the connection with the savage nomads?
Exactly. In prison, that connection led to forming Los Solitos.
Which became a major force in the Connecticut prison system in the 90s.
Right. So you see this evolution, these long-term ripples from those early days. It's not a simple story.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Or maybe it's not shifting gears entirely. The music.
Yes. Crucial. Because Yellow Benji Melendez wasn't just the leader.
He was the musician, too.
Yeah.
Lead vocalist, guitarist.
Right. And the band was also called the Ghetto Brothers. They put out an album.
Ghetto Brothers, Power Forza, 1971.
That's the one, on Salsa Records. Recorded at Fintone Studio, produced by Bobby Marin.
And quite a lineup, too. Benjamin's brother Victor on bass.
Luis Bristow on drums, Frankie Valentin on timbales, Chiqui Concepcion on congas, Angela Garcia on bongos.
David Silva on lead guitar, Robert Melendez on rhythm. A real collective.
It really was a family affair in some ways, but also pulling in talent from the community.
And this album, Power Forza, it didn't exactly hit the Billboard charts right away.
Huh.
Oh.
Not at all. The distribution was super informal at first, mostly local within their community.
Just getting it out there on the streets, basically.
Pretty much. But its reputation just grew over years.
Yeah.
Decades, even.
To the point where now people call it one of the great lost albums.
Exactly. It eventually got re-released on CD, thankfully, so a wider audience could actually hear it.
So what did it sound like? This lost classic. People mentioned funk, soul, Latin rhythms.
Rock, salsa, garage rock,
Hmm.
even rock and Espanol. It's a real
The
mix.
sonic melting pot, you could say. How did all that come together?
Well, it reflected their environment, didn't it? The South Bronx was diverse. You had Puerto Rican influences, African American sounds.
So complex salsa rhythms meet like gritty funk bass lines.
Yeah, and maybe some raw garage, rock guitar energy, soulful vocals. It's a fusion. You hear their heritage, but also something new they were creating.
That unique flavor. And it apparently attracted a really diverse crowd. All classes, all races, all ages was the motto, right?
That's what they aimed for, yeah. Breaking down barriers through music.
And this connection to hip-hop. They're called pioneers. How does that fit?
It's interesting. It wasn't just the music itself, though maybe the breaks, the social commentary played a part.
Okay.
It was also their role in the community, in the South Bronx, right when hip-hop was starting to bubble up.
Creating a space.
Yeah, creating a cultural space. The block parties, that sense of identity, they were part of that whole scene taking shape. They laid some groundwork, you could argue.
So if we try to pull all these threads together, what are the main takeaways? What really stands out about the Ghetto Brothers?
I think, first off, it's that duality. That's the core, isn't it? Gang structure, social mission, and a band.
All wrapped up together.
Right. And they were proactive, trying to uplift their community, not just react.
And that point about the Ghetto Sisters, the respectful treatment of women.
That's a really compelling counter-narrative. It challenges stereotypes.
And then there's the music, its legacy, its rediscovery.
Definitely. It shows their cultural impact was deep, multifaceted. It's a story of, transformation, evolution on different levels.
So they really defy any simple label, don't they?
Completely. They were complex, a product of their time, their place, the struggles, the creativity there.
They make you rethink what a gang can be, maybe.
Exactly. And they highlight how powerful music can be, fostering community, driving change, sometimes from the most unexpected places.
So a final thought for you, the listener. Think about how often groups or movements wear multiple hats, maybe even contradictory ones, in a community.
And what can we learn from culture, like music popping up in marginalized places and leaving such a lasting mark?
Maybe check out Ghetto Brothers' Power Forza. Explore that South Bronx history. It's quite a story.
It really is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.